We're in that sort of that early phase when it feels like anything is possible, so we can explore with sort of impunity. So that's sort of a golden time. As far as design goes, sort of the challenge about this world is that it takes place in one room. There are 9 characters. At times, all 9 are in that room. It's a smaller stage, at least width-wise, as far as Woolly is concerned. So it's about figuring out how to create a room that both gives us sort of a clear sense of place. We're in some undisclosed West African country, but we don't want necessarily through the room people to know that immediately. So we're sort of walking several fine lines. And then there's also a very important part of this play that the room itself should be comfortable, should be safe, should feel homey, should feel a place where you can exhale. And then the outside world is a world of don't go there, don't go beyond the gate. There's razor wire on walls that surround this house. And so Jim and I talked a lot about trying to, without making this a gloomy, scary set, or play world in which this at times truly comedic piece couldn't live, we did want to have that element of danger. So we have these amazing tree trunks that sort of give us a huge sense of scale, that the outside world is undeniable and much bigger than this little cozy room that we've designed. So it's about sort of that balance of interior, exterior, comfortable, scary, a place where a comedy can exist, but also a place where serious stuff winds up happening. I always talk a lot about character with costume designers, and we sort of then take it from there. And then, once you've started to talk about character, then of course at times you sort of swing into having more functional conversations or more sort of specific conversations about, she needs to have a pocket. So those kind of conversations do exist. Or, this shirt can't be green because the wall is green, and then he would just be a floating head, things like that. So there definitely becomes a technical turn. But it's a lot of character talk, which, just informs, we do that up front, sometimes even before, I've cast everyone. But then that informs what I'm thinking about that character. So there's a really, costume designers they're the most sort of hands-on designers when it comes to actors. And there's sort of my prep work for thinking about character. Sometimes a lot of that involves conversations with those designers. It's definitely a comedy, but it's a political comedy, it's a satire, it's about, sort of, I guess, in a sexy way, Americans behaving badly, in this West African country, or, we're sort of undisclosed, maybe selfish intentions are aired as good intentions, and they start colliding with each other. So there's definitely, it's definitely very fun in rehearsal, and those laughs are already bubbling up. But yeah, at a point, it becomes, in directing this kind of work, it becomes, what is the story? And the story will be inherently funny because that's what's on the page, but it's about obeying the rules of the story. Bruce likes to push people's buttons, and I think that, for whatever reason, and perhaps unfortunately, that's sort of rare. Television certainly doesn't do that, not much theater does that either. And I'm hoping that people, feel a little uncomfortable at times, and start to sort of question where they sit on certain issues, or start to consider, certain situations that maybe they don't have to consider because their life doesn't take them to these darker places. But yeah, how would they respond? So Bruce is a wonderful provocateur, and hopefully there's enough sort of, laughter, amusement, craziness to make that kind of, medicine not be sour, and this play never gets polemical.